If you are somebody that wanted to see more Jacob Cowing and Ricky Pearsall, guess what? You are going to get your wish because the 49ers are screwed at wide receiver right now. Plus, we'll examine the Chiefs game and break it down post-mortem. What the hell happened? What is good, everybody? Welcome to Under Review on the Gold Standard and the Fans First Sports Networks. I am Rob Stats Guerrera. He is Vish Kumar. And Vish, as saying goes, when it rains, it pours. And right now, if you're in San Francisco, you better get your raincoat.
Yeah, I think that some of the things that we're going to talk about right here in this show that happened after the game are actually maybe a little bit more alarming than the game itself, right? Um, you and I both picked the Chiefs to win. You bet a good sum of money. I'm sure you're happy about that for the Chiefs to win. I think that we still think the 49ers are capable of going pretty far despite losing this game in the sense that they can still win this division and make the playoffs. But now there are some implications with injuries that make everything that much more complicated.
If you did not hear Kyle Shanahan's conference call, things have gotten worse since the end of the Chiefs game. First up, Brandon Aiyuk, torn ACL, torn MCL, maybe even more. He's obviously out for the season. He's going to be out for significantly longer than that. We wish him well. A devastating injury for him and the 49ers, but that we at least had a sense of after the game or during the game, really. Also, Kyle Shanahan revealed on the conference call earlier today that Deebo Samuel is in the hospital. He has fluid in his lungs. It is a pneumonia-like illness. There is no timetable for his return. So that is something, obviously, that's very much in the air for Sunday night. Chris Conley has an ankle sprain. He is day-to-day. George Kittle has a foot sprain. He is day-to-day. It's Cowing and Pearsall in a major role this weekend against the Cowboys, Vish.
Yeah, I think they're going to have to sign somebody because without Aiyuk, without Conley, they don't really have an X receiver on this team. Pearsall, I've talked about it with you. He's more of the move guy. He's Robert Woods. And then Cowing, they use more in the slot, and I guess they can use him as a move guy. So they probably need to sign someone else as the X receiver. The Deebo news, I think, let's start there. That's huge. He looks sick. I never questioned his sickness. I thought the videos actually were a little alarming because he looked genuinely nauseous and like he was going to throw up, and he looked really sick when they had the oxygen mask on him. The only thing I did question about Deebo, and maybe we can get into it now, is why he was on the sideline after a certain point when it looked like he wasn't going to go back into the game. It was a hot day. Generally just standing around can suck your energy. He didn't look like a guy who had a lot of energy. And then the second part of it is I didn't know what he had going on. I know you're not a big germs guy, Mr. Shoes in the house. I'm a germs guy. And I was wondering if he's dealing with the flu or something like that, why is he around his teammates who could possibly catch this? Thankfully, it sounds like he had an illness that wasn't contagious. Either way, I'm a little bit alarmed on what the lingering effects would be from this, Rob, even if he does come back. This sounds like the type of illness that he could recover from, but maybe his cardio, his breathing threshold is affected long term for like maybe a year or two just because of the lingering effects of that.
Breathing stuff is scary stuff. You could tell he couldn't breathe. At one point, they showed him on the sideline, like trying to get oxygen.
Yeah.
It could take him, it depends. Like sometimes you get that illness and it just kicks your ass for like 24, 48 hours where you were just absolutely wiped out. And then sometimes you get a longer illness that just lingers and you're just never quite 100%. Fighting something off myself now, as you can hear in my voice. And we have to see which one Deebo has. I'm sure he's going to give it his all to get out there Sunday against the Cowboys, but at least for right now, you have to consider him very much up in the air. And so what I think this means, Vish, and I think we could sort of transition because I think a lot of what I'm about to say happened in the Chiefs game. If you are Mike Zimmer, for example, I'm saying to my guys, here's how this is going to go. We're playing press man every play. We're keeping 6-7 guys right at the line of scrimmage every play. We're stopping the run, and we're going to make them beat our press man coverage again and again and again because I don't think they're going to be able to do it for 7, 8, 9, 10 plays down the field. And that's how the 49ers are going to get played by every defense they see if Deebo's not there and Aiyuk's not there and Jennings isn't there and it's Cowing and Pearsall and Kittle leading the charge.
So I think in theory that's what teams are going to try and do. I don't know that every team is capable of doing it to the capacity the Chiefs did it. And the Chiefs have been able to do one special thing in each and every one of these matchups versus the 49ers is they've been able to contain the 49ers run game in a way other teams haven't been able to when they do stack the box, right? Like the Chiefs, when they need to get stops against the 49ers run game, they're capable of getting them. Now, the 49ers found actually a way to run the football, as I'm sure we're going to talk about later in this show, actually in the second half. They struggled a lot to run it in the first half, but that's something the Chiefs are able to do. Dallas, even if they do stack the box, the 49ers are capable of being able to mix and match their gaps through motions, resetting their formations and stuff like that, and run the football because they just lack personnel in terms of the size on their defensive line. Like the 49ers can move Dallas. Chiefs are big and fast. They're a tough team to move around. So I don't know that Dallas could necessarily implement that game plan. And we know when the 49ers are able to run the football, that's when Shanahan is able to navigate the offense in a way that they avoid third downs on some drives. They have a lot of schemed up wide open throws and stuff like that. So I agree with you that that's the challenge the 49ers are now going to face week in, week out, week in, week out. I do think there's certain matchups where they can mitigate that challenge. And I think Dallas is one of those next week. Like Dallas will try to challenge these guys, but I don't know that they'll let the game diminish to can our receivers beat Trayvon Diggs and Deron Bland and these guys one-on-one. I think they'll try to keep the game out of that situation to the best possible of their ability.
Billy P says, at least there's no tape on any of our wide receivers now. Billy, man, credit to you for silver linings. That is a positive outlook on life. So I could use some of that.
I'll give you a different kind of silver lining, right? Because you and I have been trending towards this topic maybe a little faster than other people. And that's the idea that the 49ers could have used this season to reload. Maybe not restructure some people, not push money down the road, use this year to kind of recoup, maybe get some young players to play. Even if they struggle early, you might develop and find some starters in certain areas. And you now know the core you're going to build around once you do pay your quarterback, because it's not going to be these same guys once Brock Purdy is heavily paid, right? Like Deebo, George Kittle, these kinds of guys are going to slowly start leaving. And so now that's happening organically. All these injuries are going to give these guys the opportunity to see who that next core is. And we saw the Rams go through something like this in a very different capacity last year, where they were so cap struck. They had so many bad contracts over years that they just had to field a young kind of talentless, dare I say talentless roster. And they had to grow together, and McVay had to coach them up. And of course, Stafford being a great quarterback allowed them to make the playoffs. This 49ers roster, even currently in a lot of ways, is better than the ones the Rams had last year, especially if a guy like Deebo is healthy. There was, so when I look at it like that, I think there's still a lot of opportunity. And now we get to see a true testament of how good a coach Kyle Shanahan is. Is he as good as I think he is? Can he develop these young guys over the course of the season, get them to buy in, get them to step up? And then we get to see who of these young guys is built around for the future. Is Ricky Pearsall going to be a guy the Niners can rely upon? Is Jacob Cowing going to be a guy the Niners can rely upon? Their time is now. We're going to find out right now.
And the thing about Kyle not wanting to play rookies, well, they're going to be in because they got to be in. So
they have to play now.
Like you said, we'll see. And if nothing else, you at least get that out of the rest of this season. You get an extended kind of look at what is there and what they have. And look, they're still right in the mix for the division right now as we speak.
It's right there.
It's a bad division, thank God. So I'm not saying that the season is over by any stretch of the imagination, but also, there's this. Both things can be true at the same time. Let's start to break this one down, Vish. This was a weird, wild.
We didn't touch on Aiyuk. You want to hit Aiyuk too?
Well, it's the same. I mean, it's unfortunate. As I said on the live show that I did from my car as my son was at soccer practice, this is why players hold out to get the bag, because something like what happened to Brandon Aiyuk can happen on any play in any game. And I know it doesn't matter to everybody watching out there, but there's no fans with Brandon Aiyuk right now. There's no fans in the operating room with Brandon Aiyuk. There's no fan. Like, it's just him. At the end of the day, he's got to take care of him and his family. And that's exactly why He held out, and good for him that he did, because this is horrible. He may never be the same again, ever. This is a devastating knee injury. So good that he got his money because he deserved it.
Yeah, and I first thoroughly agree with you top to bottom, especially on the money part. This is why he had to hold out and take care of his business first. His career is fickle in the NFL. You never know when it can be taken away from you. And so it's good on him for making sure that his family and himself were taken care of with generational wealth before that happens. In terms of in terms of the second part of what you said, that's kind of what I wanted to touch on. It sucks to do it in the wake of him suffering such a serious injury, but the Niners gave him a really, really large contract and they're invested in him for the next 2, 3 years, pretty long term. And this is a very, very serious injury for a receiver to come back from. And they're heavily invested in needing Brandon Aiyuk to be a key performer. And it sucks because that honestly, in the beginning of that game, Rob, I know he had the drop, and a lot of people were really upset about the drop, and the drop was not good. I thought he was looking like Brandon Ayuk. Like, I thought he was like really finding his rhythm. I thought he was starting to look really good. I thought he was emerging just as the rest of the offense needed somebody to emerge. We know Kittle has been the one guy that's played great all year, and it looked like finally somebody was coming along with him early in that game. In Brandon Ayuk, the last couple weeks he had really played better.
Kittle said as much after the game. He said he started to look like himself. He was making plays in practice. It's just unfortunate, like it's just a devastating. It sucks for everybody. And there's nothing. I mean, I don't mean to poo-poo it or try to move on too quick, but like that's just the reality of the situation. It's very, very unfortunate. We wish him well. Deebo put out a message of support on Instagram for him. It just stinks. I mean, I think he had missed like one game his whole career before this. And now
Yeah.
he's going to be out for the rest of this year and probably at least half of next year too, if not more. So get well soon, BA. Do everything you can. And, when you get back, hopefully, you can resume your career where you left off because it looked promising to start. Now, in this game, this was the weirdest first quarter ever, Vish. The Niners go 3-and-out. The Chiefs on fourth down try a fake punt, even though the Niners' first team defense stayed on the field, which was probably the first sign of disrespect from the Chiefs, that they were not scared of the 49ers at all. And they get the stop on the turnover on downs, and Brock Purdy throws the first of 3 interceptions on the day. Just a flat out, hideously bad interception. And I thought all the interceptions on the day were just Brock making bad plays worse, which is something that he had not done a ton of, but he did on Sunday. There is nobody open on this little bootleg play, and he needs to either throw it away or just try to pick up a couple yards and live to play another day. He can't do it, Bish, and he throws it right to Justin Reed, who was just waiting for him to release the ball before stepping in front of George Kittle.
Yeah, 100% agree. I think there's two like very bad things with this interception. Of course, every interception is bad, but I think it's two more alarming things in particular. One, it's the quality of the interception, right? Like he didn't throw it in the vicinity of anybody. It was just an errant throw straight to Justin Reed. There was not much else to it. It was a terrible interception. And a lot of interceptions are bad, but there's a difference when you throw a ball to someone and it's contested, it's tipped up. This one didn't have any opportunity for a 49ers player to come down with the ball. It was thrown to no man's land, and if Justin Reed didn't catch it, nobody was going to catch it. So that's the first part. The second part to it, Rob, I thought was the game situation. One, you're coming off of a turnover and downs. You finally have the ball in Kansas City territory to start. You have excellent field position. This is a great scoring opportunity. You know you're going against a defense that it's going to be difficult to move the ball. You know you're going up against a team that has been winning these close, grinded out style games that are very slow paced and coming down to the final possession and very, very like who can outlast who and out execute each other in these moments. So like this game is going to be won on the margins with the little things. And the first thing you do is throw a terrible interception. I think it's alarming on both fronts. It's scary because it's kind of the antithesis of who he is. Game situation management and spatial awareness IQ has been something that he's had from the moment he started playing, was something everybody complimented him about because of the number of starts he had at Iowa State. And then This second type of thing, which is like this Jimmy Garoppolo-esque interception, I mean, it comes and goes with him, but this is just horrible.
There's never anybody open on the thing. That's the weirdest part about it. It's not like, oh, well, there was a window and he was late or whatever. It was never there. And he was just determined to throw that ball no matter what. And like
And
you said, it was just a devastating momentum killing play. And what we have seen from the 49ers against the Chiefs, Vish, is they always let Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs off the hook for their worst plays. Always.
yeah, that's a great point. They always do. And that is why they keep getting run down, even though they have leads. They didn't have a lead yesterday, except besides the 3-0. But for the most part, that's why they've lost leads. And I think the other thing I wanted to mention, too, is a theme in this game was he just wasn't accurate for the
Nope.
majority of this game. He had like two, I would say, like pretty just spot on accurate throws, and both were drops, one from Juszczyk, one from Brandon Aiyuk. But besides that, he was errant all over the place, even on throws he was completing. And this was the first example of it where he's trying to throw a really hard ball, tight window to Kittle, and it kind of just sprays on him.
He hit Dominic Puni in the head with a throw. Like literally just threw it into the back of Dominic Puni's head. Like what
Yeah.
the hell? Like if Trey Lance did that, people would lose their mind, which is fine. But keep the same energy for Brock Purdy. Your quarterback should never hit any offensive lineman in the back of the head with a throw. What are we talking about here? He's got
That shouldn't happen, right? That shouldn't happen. You're absolutely right. I don't know why you had to evoke the name of Trey Lance here in this case. I think go ahead.
Because people make bigger issues out of certain players' accuracy than others. Like, have you ever seen Patrick Mahomes throw a pass that went off the back of somebody's head? No. Like,
Maybe.
I'm just saying, how can you have both of those in your body? I've seen Brock Purdy make tremendous throws deep down the field, across his body.
Mm-hmm.
How can you have that in your body? And also, I don't know where this thing is going so bad that I'm throwing directly into an offensive lineman's head.
Yeah. Okay. I'll give you that, Rob. I'll give you that. That's not great.
Danny wants to know if you're wearing a wig.
I guess so. No, I'm not wearing a wig.
Prove it. Let's see it. Shake it. Oh, that looks pretty good. Okay.
There you go. Messed up my hair for this show, Danny, but that's for you. Coming back to Brock Purdy and his interceptions and all of those things, I think, Rob, what concerned me is when you talk about him hitting Puni in the head, I thought the pocket constricted for him a lot in this game. And I thought something we've noticed with him this entire season is how good he is at escaping, and he's escaping the pocket, right? He's really, really good at being able to get out of the back of the pocket. We talked about this from the start of his career. He doesn't like stepping up because he's a little bit shorter. He likes running out of the back, using his speed, and then getting outside of the pocket and creating plays. Well, the Chiefs' defensive line is capable of running him down, and they kind of constricted and made him step up and into the pocket, which is where you have the mammoth Chris Jones and all of these different people rushing into him. And he didn't like that. Sometimes they were affecting his throws and they were affecting his accuracy. And then sometimes they weren't as close to him as he thought, but he had been affected a few different times and that affected his throws. So I think that if I had to say something, Rob, as a concern, or dare I say a weakness for him, it is his size in the pocket when it does tend to get condensed in those tight areas and he has to step up and through it. And I thought the Chiefs exploited that by being able to create pressure that forced him to step up and into the pocket. And I thought there were moments where he could have gotten rid of the ball and he didn't. It was just an all-around bad game. We're going to go through all the different moments. It wasn't just the picks, which were terrible. He missed quite a few throws. And he had a lot of bad plays.
And by the way, for everybody that's in my mentions, okay, all you weirdos, this is not the only bad game Brock Purdy has had this season. Everybody's like, oh, he's only had one bad game. What are you talking about? No, he hasn't. He was bad against the Vikings. He was worse against the Cardinals. He was terrible against the Chiefs. Like, I don't know where all this revisionist history is coming from, but the idea that Brock Purdy's only had one bad game is just flat out incorrect. Watch the games. They're on TV.
Yeah, the Vikings game, he had the tough turnovers. I don't know that one was that bad, Rob.
He had 2 hideous turnovers. He had an
Yeah, the
interception
turnovers were
from the
brutal. The
49ers
turnovers were brutal
14-yard
in that
line,
game.
and he had a fumble that cost the Niners a scoring opportunity also. He was bad in the Vikings game. He didn't know what the hell he was looking at. He was shook all game long.
And there you go. I think that's been something this year that's been a little bit different. A lot of defenses have been changing the picture on him, sending a lot of late blitzers and doing a lot of things post snap and making him read it out. And there have been moments where he hasn't played as well because there's more of the game on him now than there's ever been in his career.
Yes. And that's like part of your progression as a quarterback in the NFL. Like you have to prove it multiple times, multiple ways. And this is the latest hurdle that he has to jump over. And right now he is struggling to do that. But getting back to the game, Niners throw the pick. Chiefs are driving down the field and really not having much difficulty. And then Patrick Mahomes gets sacked by Nick Bosa and Leonard Floyd on first down. Second down, he throws, and Khalil Davis, boom, gets the paw up, pops it up in the air, and makes the catch for a pick, which shuts down a Chiefs drive at the Niners' 24-yard line. A huge play by Khalil Davis and this defense.
Yeah, amazing play. Amazing play. One of a play that like we talked about for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks. Niners defense needs someone else to step up besides Nick Bosa and Fred Warner. Well, early in this game, Leonard Floyd stepped up and had a couple of nice plays. Khalil Davis had this, which was just an incredible play. The Niners offense needed to capitalize on these moments. We've talked about how this defense isn't very good. Well, when they give you moments like this and they give you opportunities, you have to reward them. You have to build up their confidence. They played pretty well in this game. I'll touch on it right now. Patrick Mahomes was terrible in this
Terrible.
game. Like, if we're talking about it by Patrick Mahomes standards, he was terrible in this game. He was almost as bad as Brock Purdy, only slightly better than Brock
Almost.
Purdy, right? And unfortunately, the Niners didn't capitalize on that. Like their defense really did make him struggle in this game, and he was missing throws that he usually hits. He was not playing well at all. I mean, the second interception, I know that Xavier Worthy fell down, their feet got tangled up. It would, I don't know that he would have gotten that in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
Huge play by Khalil Davis. Had to feel good for him. Had to feel good for the Niners because they've waded through injury with him. They've been, confident that he can be a good player. And that was a hell of a play. And all of a sudden, you're like, just when you thought the Niners were going to give the momentum back, bam, they grab it again. And you're like, yes, okay, let's go. Chance to make up for that stupid interception by Brock Purdy. And yet the Niners go 3 plays, 9 yards, and immediately have to punt because on 4th and 1 from the Niners' 41-yard line, oh, Kyle Shanahan, he can't ever go for it on 4th and 1. What could happen, Vish?
I'm kind of mad that you brought up the 4th and 1 because I thought that this drive right here is indicative of the 49ers Chief matchup on offense versus the Chiefs defense on a whole. How many times have we seen defense makes a great play, 49ers offense gets the ball? We've seen this how many different times in Kyle Shanahan's tenure. First down is a positive gain, in this case 8 yards. 2nd and 2, 3rd and 1, 4th and 1. How many times have we seen it?
Too many.
2nd and 2 is a run. 3rd and 1 is a run. They don't get quite as close as he originally thought on 3rd and 1, so he punts it on 4th and 1. It's the most Kyle Shanahan drive of all time. It's the most Kyle Shanahan drive of all time right there. And they went 3 and out, and not many people are going to focus on this drive. It was not the most important one in the game, but to me, it is indicative of this matchup because of 2 reasons. One, the play that happened previously. I don't think the 49ers defense is very good. I thought they were playing very well, and they just gave you a hero play when the Chiefs were about to score after your quarterback threw a dumb interception. You had a great opportunity to take the momentum of the football game. Shanahan's a big believer in momentum. First down, you get Brandon Aiyuk involved in the game. Positive play, 8 yards. And then right there on 2nd and 2, you do the Kyle Shanahan. Run on 2nd and 2, run on 3rd and 1. Don't get quite as close as you thought on 3rd and 1 and punt it on 4th and 1.
And like, what does it say about this team that when they need a yard on 2nd down, on 3rd down, they can't get it? Jordan Mason ran for 0.6 yards per carry in the first half. That is not an exaggeration. That is the actual yards per carry. He had 5 carries for 3 yards with a long of 4 in the entire first half. That is pathetic. That is comically. That is you playing on all Madden when you should be playing on rookie. That's how bad that is. And so the 49ers have to punt. Chiefs get the ball back, and they do nothing with it. 3 plays.
By the way, that was a booming punt for Mitch Wishnowsky. This is important because we have 2 good special teams plays to start the game. Just for anybody out there that's making sure Rob and I are objective, how many people covering the 49ers point out the good special teams plays, okay? Because they're few and far between. We know how bad they are on special teams, and yet Rob and I are still pointing out the good ones.
The Chiefs started that drive on the 8-yard line, and they did nothing with it. The Chiefs punted. The Niners got the ball at the 41-yard line, their own 41-yard line. Great.
Another Leonard Floyd sack.
Yes,
Shout
which
out.
nice to see. Him waking up a little bit. Way to go, Leonard Floyd. Brock Purdy gets the ball back. They get a pass interference penalty on George Kittle. They get a run by Jordan Mason for 4 yards, which was his longest of the first half, which is crazy. And they have to punt. 4th and 6 at the Kansas City 37. Here comes Anders Carlson to attempt a 55-yard field goal, which I was like, good Lord. But he drilled it. It was perfect. Great. And you're like, all right, you know what? You should have done more with that drive because it started in such a good field position, but you got the field goal at least. You felt at least good that Carlson made the kick. 3-0, you're up.
Yeah.
Kansas City gets – oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just about to say, great kick by him. And look, I understand the third string kicker thing is awful. Great kick. He sucks. He sucks. And they rely upon him. They relied on him in this game like he's Mr. Automatic.
The fact that Kyle Shanahan has abdicated all responsibility and knowledge for replacing Jake Moody is a failing by the head coach. Carlson missed 12 kicks last year. He missed 12 kicks.
And why look, Rob, maybe he's the best available option, right? But you have to understand, know your personnel, Kyle. You're going into this game with a kicker that's missed 12 kicks. So why are you trying to put this game in the kicker's hands by giving him as many opportunities to kick the ball?
I thought it was a crazy decision. It worked out there. It backfires later in the game, which we'll get to. So Chiefs get the ball back at their 30-yard line. They go 7 plays, 70 yards down the field, and it was a march. First down, first down, first down, first down. They didn't face a third down on the entire drive, just right down the field. And the 49ers had 3 defensive penalties on the drive, and the Chiefs get their first touchdown because unlike San Francisco, Kansas City knows how to run the ball in the red zone.
Yeah, and you know what? This was their one drive that was just effortless in this game. But this drive felt like they had that gear to them whenever they wanted. Like, if they wanted to, they could feel unstoppable to the 49ers defense. And they felt unstoppable. Geez, sorry, there's something in my contact. They felt unstoppable to the 49ers on that possession.
They attacked the 49ers horizontally, which I said they would going into the game. How many times did we see the little jet sweep, the little pop pass, little end around? Seemed like the 49ers were unprepared for a lot of it, which to me is crazy because, of course, the Chiefs were going to do that when they couldn't move the ball conventionally. Like, I'm shocked that the 49ers were not prepared for that, but the Chiefs go down the field. They get the touchdown. You're like, all right, you're not going to keep them off the board forever. 7-3. Offense gets a chance to get the ball back. And again, Vish, what do we see? 1st and 10, George Kittle, 8 yards. 2nd and 2, incomplete to Juice. 3rd and 2, incomplete to Brandon Aiyuk. That was the drop, the killer drop, because as inaccurate as Brock was in this game, he put it right on Brandon Aiyuk. It was a beautiful throw with touch and arc, and there was space in front of Aiyuk. And I think he dropped it, Vish, because the offense was pressing by that point. They were pressing. They felt they were tight. They felt the struggles. They knew they needed to score. There was the opportunity. They haven't had many opportunities. And Brandon Aiyuk, drop.
Yeah. I don't want to do this just because obviously it sucks that he got hurt. This was a play that he had to make. It was a great throw by Brock Purdy. He cooked Trent McDuffie in man coverage on the play, who is the best defensive player on the Chiefs secondary and an excellent one at that too. This is what they paid him for. Those are the kinds of plays that you pay him to make. 3rd and 2, the offense is stuttering. You make a big play. You get open versus Trent McDuffie. You have to catch that ball and make a big play. I think that's what's sometimes missing from Brandon Ayuk's
Mm-hmm.
game in general. And we've discussed that ad nauseum. Now he's injured. They are going to miss him big time. He had a couple of nice plays actually before he gets hurt later in this game, but this is one they need him to make. He has to make this play.
And it was right there. And you could see it before it got to him. You were like, oh my God, this is it. This is the play. He's going to break away. There's one guy to beat, really. Just the safety to beat. And then it's all green grass. And he just had it until he didn't have it. And this kicked off, in my opinion, one of the first pivotal sequences of the game. Because not only does, of course, Brandon Ayuk drop the pass, but that means it's fourth down. And so what does that mean? We're going to trot out Mr. Mitch Wishnowsky again, because of course, 4th and 2, you can't ever consider going for it, right? Nope. Can't ever do that if you're Kyle Shanahan. Have to punt it because that's the safe thing to do, quote unquote. Mitch Wishnowsky kicks a 47-yard punt. Mecole Hardman goes 55 yards down the field, down the left side. Nobody's even there for the 49ers, 3 of whom fell on the ground. And lo and behold, Kansas City starts the drive at the San Francisco 30-yard line with a chance to make it a 2-score game.
Yeah, the special team sucks. I understand that they have injuries, they have rotating people. I've never seen a special teams this bad. And I don't care if people say fire Brian Schneider. We've already seen a special teams coordinator get fired under this head coach. It's not the special teams coordinators that are the issue. He can go hire 10 others and the special teams is going to be bad. They don't have a good special teams because I don't think he's prioritizing it. I don't know what's wrong, but I don't think it's an issue with just the special teams coordinators because 2 different special team coordinators have come, tried, and they have failed. And it's not because of an investment in personnel. They've had a 3rd-round kicker, 4th-round punter. They have a highly paid special teamer in Jordan Odom. All of this. There's something from a coaching and team commitment standpoint that's not there with special teams. From the return game to the kickoff coverage, to the punt coverage, to the punting. They don't do any of it well.
They don't. And Kyle doesn't care about it. Clearly, he doesn't care. What does he say? Just don't lose the game. Who's the replacement kicker, Kyle? I don't know. I didn't even watch the tryouts. I mean, what does that tell you about what he considers special teams? And like, if that's your philosophy, okay, but it has burned him again and again and again. Why did they lose the Super Bowl? What was the big play that shifted the momentum? A special teams play when they fumbled the punt return. Like, how many times are you going to get burned by this before realizing, hey, maybe I should focus on this a little bit more? And by the way, where are the Chiefs good? On the margins.
Special teams, Dave
Special
Tobe.
teams, Dave Tobe, Harrison Butker drilling 58-yard field goals in the Super Bowl. The punt return that we just talked about.
Hardman.
They're good at special teams. Like, it's stunning to me. It is stunning that he continues to just ignore a third of the game, and it bites the 49ers in the ass because the Chiefs go 30 yards in 7 plays. They get the touchdown thanks to Kareem Hunt, and all of a sudden it's 14-3, and the game is beginning to tilt in the exact direction the 49ers can't have it go if they want to win.
14-3 almost feels over. Right. And It's frustrating to say it like that. And so much more happens in this game. It's not actually over at 14-3. I'm, of course, being very, very short sighted when I say that. But it felt a little insurmountable for this 49ers team versus this defense versus that quarterback. It felt like they're not going to be able to blow this lead. And the 49ers never were able to run them down. The Chiefs, very, very bumpy ride, but they kind of bumpily cruise to winning. They didn't do it you know what I mean? Like, they never were troubled by the 49ers, but they weren't exactly smooth at holding their lead.
They got there. It wasn't a smooth ride, but they arrived there. So the Chiefs score, it's 14-3. Niners get the ball back. They do nothing, 4 plays and out. Chiefs get the ball back. They do nothing, 5 plays and out. So now Niners get the ball 1st and 10 at the 10-yard line. Why? Because Matt Araiza kicks a 64-yard punt, and then there's a hold on the return, which pins the 49ers all the way back to their own 10-yard line. Again, special teams having an effect on the game. Niners get the ball, and you're praying for points, right? You're like, please, we got to get something before the half because the Chiefs get the ball first, and Brock Purdy is driving them down the field. And you're like, all right, Ricky Pearsall makes his first catch. Hooray. Brock Purdy on 3rd and 4, drops back to pass. George Kittle blows by Justin Reed. Just a straight vertical route down the field. Brock Purdy sees it. He lets it fly. And Vish, unfortunately, he underthrows George Kittle. Now, it was complete for a 41-yard gain, but it was a bad throw from Brock Purdy. And Tom Brady said so on the broadcast.
Yeah, this is the only third down that they convert in when the game matters. They were 1 for 10 when the game matters. This was such a big play. They had a walk-in touchdown for George Kittle, who, by the way, was terrific in this game as he's been all season. George Kittle is having a very good season outside of the Arizona game. And it wasn't just that he underthrew it, Rob. He throws it inside. This is actually a great catch because he comes back and goes inside of the defender and catches it. You see, if he throws this over the top and on the sidelines, George Kittle is high stepping and walking into the end zone.
I said it at the time. He underthrows him. This is out of the JT O'Sullivan formation that he hates when Kittle is just like 5 yards back in the backfield. I paused it. If you're watching the stream right now, you can see it. He goes, boom, right by the safety. And Brock sees it. He's staring straight at it, and he lets it rip immediately. There's no hesitation. There is nobody in front of George Kittle. He is the deepest man on the field when that ball is in the air, and he has to slow down. And the defender almost crashes into him for one of those bogus pass interference penalties. That's how underthrown the pass is. And thank God George caught it because it was a huge play on the drive.
Because he throws the ball so far inside. And he had a throw to George Kittle the last time he played in Seattle that I thought really showcased his arm strength, the touchdown throw, the far out, just how far he threw it on the line. You calculated the hypotenuse of the angle. Your third grade math teacher would be so proud. This is a very, very difficult throw, and it showcases a limitation in the arm strength. That highlighted his arm strength. This, either he didn't have the arm to get out there or he didn't put enough arm on it because he's throwing it all the way back across because he's set up on his drop on the far hash, and he has to throw it all the way back across to the sideline, up and over deep down the field. And he underthrows it by 5 to 10 yards. That's a walk-in touchdown.
And no one is saying it's easy, right? I get that it's hard, but you are a professional quarterback that is going to ask for $60 million next year because that's the market rate, and you should ask for that. But when you ask for that in return, the team is going to say you have to hit these throws. It's not enough to just complete it. It's not. You
gotta have something that makes up for it, right? Like Mahomes missed Xavier Worthy in the first play of the second half on a walk-in touchdown, just walk-in touchdown, wide open, and he overshoots him by 5-6 yards. He looked like Jimmy G to Emmanuel Sanders. What does he do? Well, he comes back with the 30-yard run that embarrasses the 49ers defense.
It was comical, and we'll get there. Don't worry. So they hit the deep play to Kittle, and they're still moving down the field. Brock Purdy hits Brandon Aiyuk with 48 seconds left, and that's the play that Brandon Aiyuk destroys his knee on and is out for the end of the year. Now, look, obviously there was no way to know this at the time, but let's just be real. If that is a walk-in touchdown to George Kittle, Brandon Aiyuk doesn't get hurt later in the drive because the drive is over. Those two things are both true. But Niners moving the ball down the field. 2nd and 1 at the Kansas City 5-yard line. Brock throws incomplete, Vish. And let me see if you're here with me on this, because I thought this was very weird. 3rd and 1, there's 27 seconds left. The 49ers have no timeouts. And Kyle Shanahan chooses to run the football. He runs the football when they have not run the ball at all in the first half, when they couldn't even get a yard per carry. With no timeouts and 27 seconds left on 3rd and 1 at the 5, Kyle Shanahan runs Jordan Mason up the middle, who, of course, loses a yard, and they have to rush the field goal team on for a hurried field goal before the half expires.
Yeah, I didn't understand this coaching logic at all. Okay, you're out of timeouts. You have 27 seconds and the ball is at the 6-yard line. First, I think you should be thinking touchdown, but let's say Shanahan's thinking field goal. Well, if what happens, which is what happened, that he doesn't get the first down running the football, you are in a nightmare scenario of trying to run the kicker out for a 24-yard field goal, and you're relying on your worst unit to execute, which they did, by the way.
Yes,
which they did.
Good execution.
Right? They did. So they did get the 3 points. But the logic, and this is where I'm going to question Shanahan, even though it was successful and the execution was on dot, shout out to the special teams, he picked the hardest possible path for the 3rd or 4th best thing that could have happened at the end of that drive. You go 90 yards and kick a 24-yard field goal. And I don't understand. If you were going to run it, then why wouldn't you have a second play that you come straight to the line after you run it, whether you get it or not, and you're going to call that play and take a shot at the end zone? That's your idea with running it. Or just throw it, deal with the incomplete pass, whatever, then go kick the field goal. I don't get it. I don't get Kyle Shanahan. I know he does these things based on his feel, which is such a bullshit answer to me, but yeah, I don't get it.
Yeah, he says it's about feel. I don't think it's about feel at all. I think he predetermines everything before the game, and he doesn't change no matter what happens in the game. Why don't you throw on the third down? If you complete it, maybe you get a touchdown. Even if he's short of the end zone, you still could potentially throw it again on fourth down or run it on fourth down if you get to the 1 yard line. I just feel like he limited himself so much with that run. He put everything on that third down play, and it didn't work out, and they got stuffed, and Carlson had to come out and kick the field goal. And like you said, credit to the special teams, because we got to be fair with them. They were prepared for the situation, right? Like, I'm sure when Kyle calls that play on third down, he's probably in Brian Schneider's ear saying, hey, dude, we're running it here. Get your guys ready to go because we don't have any timeouts. And they did. They executed. 49ers go into the half, 14-6, 1-score game. So you're like, all right, it's not the worst case scenario, but certainly could have been better. And that was the first half. A couple of super chats here.
One thing also with the first half, besides the first drive, and this to me is the theme of the first half, and it's why maybe the 49ers lost the game on the whole. And this is, other than Brock Purdy being terrible, this to me is a full-on Kyle Shanahan thing, right? So the first drive, they had the penalty. They got into 3rd and 19, whatever. It was a 3-and-out. The second drive, he throws an interception, right? The third drive, 2nd and 2, 3rd and 1, 4th and 1 punt. The fourth drive, 3rd and 6, which is 3rd and medium. Don't convert. Okay, that's a little bit harder. Then drive after that, 1st and goal, or excuse me, the drive after that, 2nd and 2, 3rd and 2, 4th and 2 punt. And then the drive after that, which is this drive, I want to say. No. There was one more drive in between. I think that, yeah, let me look it up.
4 plays, 11 yards, punt.
What was that?
It was 3rd and 11.
3rd and 11. Okay. And then this last one, which is the one you brought up, which is 2nd and 1, 3rd and 1. They lost the game there. How do you have that many different opportunities to get 1 yard against that defense and you're unable to? That's a coaching issue.
Here are the 49ers third downs in the first half. 19, 1, and these are yards to go. 19, 1, 6, 2, 11, 4, and 1. They averaged 6.28 yards to go on third down. And let's be honest, most of that was because of the 19 on the first one because of the penalty. So, like, they did not have very far to go, and they still could not convert in the first half on third down. Couple of super chats. Iceman 0072, thank you very much, says, I think the Niners should hold off paying Brock Purdy. I think you're getting support on that side. Matthew Rowley, YouTube channel member, says, is there any rumors that Brock is hurt? I asked because he can make those long throws. We have seen him do it several times, including further throws. I don't know. He did have a back issue earlier this year. He didn't miss any time, but back injuries can be a thing, and maybe. I don't know. There's no way to know right now because he's not on the injury.
So I don't think it's injuries. Like, I think when people say, oh, he can't make that throw, it's like he's capable of making those throws. He's in the NFL for a reason. He's a starting quarterback and a good one in the NFL for a reason. He's capable of making throws. But arm strength isn't just when everything's perfect, you're feeling it, your feet, your base, everything's at the right spot. You can rip a 60-yard throw on a rope because he can do that. And a lot of different quarterbacks in the NFL can do that. Arm strength is the consistency of being able to rip that 60-yard throw. So, hey, when your base maybe gets a little bit off, you don't get the right step into it. Can you still put it on that 60-yard throw? He's pretty consistent. I do think his arm is maybe a little bit stronger than it's ever been given credit for. I don't know what that exactly means, but it's good enough. He's capable of making every throw in the NFL. But that's just an example of it's not diminished arm strength that affects his ability to make those throws. It's the fact that when you don't have that type of arm, you can't do it with the consistency because extraneous factors can affect your ability to get it out there. So I don't think it's an injury or anything. It's just Josh Allen can rip a 60-yard throw in all different kind of circumstances because he's physically gifted. Brock has to be in that right position, feel it, and yeah, he can rip it too, and he can put it on a dime, but there's also situations where he does this.
And that came back multiple times in the game to be an issue. So Halftime, 14-6. Okay. Within striking distance. Chiefs get the ball first. You're a little worried. And gift of gifts on 3rd and 8. Xavier Worthy falls down. Diamador Lenore makes an interception, and not only makes an interception, runs it back 33 yards to the Chiefs' 23-yard line. And I have to admit, Vish, this was the first time in this game I started to believe like we might be able to steal one. Was right after that play.
Double gift of gift. We talked about the Mahomes miss. Highlight it one more time. He misses a
True.
walk-in, essentially 70-yard touchdown to Xavier Worthy. And then, Xavier Worthy falls down. Their feet get tangled up. Great play by Diamador Lenore to control his body near the sideline, catch the football, and return this. 49ers are in the driver's seat in this moment. Not to win this game, but get momentum and get themselves right back into this thing.
And I don't know what happened on that play to Xavier Worthy, but he splits the defenders. And you're right. He is streaking down the field. And I mean, it's got to be tough for Mahomes because you got to think, well, I don't want to overthrow him, but I can't overthrow him because he's super fast. And yet he absolutely overthrows him because there was nobody there.
To me, that was a schemed up play. I think they'd been getting quarters like that on a few different first downs from the 49ers, and they noticed the 49ers safeties weren't necessarily respecting or being scared of Xavier Worthy's speed, maybe coming down a little bit. And Malik Mustafa, Xavier Worthy, like this is different speed. Mustafa has to turn and go a good 4, 5, 10 yards before Xavier Worthy goes. You can't just react and start running once Xavier Worthy's even with you. You're not going to run with him. He's gone.
You know the saying, if he's even, he be leaving.
Yeah, he's gone. I mean, he pulled away from Mustafa with a good 5, 6 yards, and Mustafa can run.
Mustafa can run, but like literally Xavier Worthy ran the fastest 40 of anyone ever that we have on record. So like that is speed that probably, you know what, like you are not just used to that until you actually get to see it. And the Niners got lucky.
They had that though, right? They had that. The Chiefs had that. They knew what they were getting, and it was almost like they were going to kind of take their kill shot on that first down. And Mahomes missed it. He missed it.
He loves to do that after turnovers or right out of the gate. He loves to take a deep shot. Right. He's done it his whole career. The Chiefs missed it. They eventually turned the ball over. Niners get the ball back on the Chiefs' 23-yard line, and 3rd and 10. Brock Purdy scrambles. He gets 9 yards. And what does Kyle Shanahan do? For once, goes for it on 4th down. And what happens? The Niners convert, and they eventually get the ball in the end zone on a nice little sneak call from Brock Purdy where they kind of pulled both guards at the same time, and Brock just kind of snuck in behind the center for the touchdown. And the Niners scored. It's 14-12. And I'm like, holy crap, this is happening. And then what happens, Vish?
Andrews Carlson blows the PAT.
First of all, you should never, ever, ever, ever be kicking a PAT there. Explain it to me. Make it make sense, Vish. Why am I going to run a play where even if everything goes perfectly and the play is as successful as it could possibly be, we are still losing? How does that make sense?
I also can't weigh the opportunity cost of these two decision-making situations, right? Like, why is the 3rd and 1 trying to move 11 people off and bring on 11 people and kick it? Like that situation, you want to kick the 24-yard kick, but now all of a sudden you feel like you need to go for this one. Those two things don't correlate. I don't know how he's feeling about either one of those things situationally. But then if you feel like you need to go for this one because you need to score a touchdown and not get a field goal, then wouldn't you want to get the touchdown and go for 2 to tie the game? So I didn't understand logically like where his head's at, because I feel like when you just talk about what his decision making is and you say this is the process that leads into this one and this is the process that leads him to this one, in the same game he has conflicting decision making process for 2 different decisions. He contradicts himself constantly with this stuff. I used to point it out a lot more. I stopped a little bit, but it's coming back. He does this quite often.
Constantly. And I don't get it. Kyle, even if it goes right, you're still down. Why not give yourself an opportunity to tie the game? And if it doesn't work out, you're down, which you would be anyway, even if you made the extra point.
Right. And if you were okay with remaining down, then why not just take 14-9?
None of it makes sense. It is illogical no matter how you look at it. But that was the Niners' choice. Of course, Carlson misses the extra point because, again, he sucks. And so the Niners are down 2 points after a touchdown. So you gain momentum, and then all of a sudden, you chip away at it yourself. you give it right back. But 14-12, okay. Chiefs get the ball back, and they go 3 and out. Mahomes goes short to Kelsey for no gain because Lenore makes a nice tackle. Incomplete to Sky Moore on a close play that was overturned on the expedited review. 3rd and 10, they throw deep to Kelsey, and Mooney Ward got away with a little bit of a hold, but recovers off a double move and makes a hell of a play on the ball to knock it away. And you're like, holy crap, the Niners are right back in it. That was the stop we needed.
Yeah, so this is when I actually started to believe. I actually started tuning in live in the second half. I was able to get some Wi-Fi connection on the plane and was watching on my phone. And
Nice.
when I saw this sequence of events where the 49ers followed up the 49ers defense, and this is where, again, I criticize the defense. I still don't think they're very good. They held up their end of the bargain in so many different moments. This was another one. Offense, score a touchdown, and we're not going to let the Chiefs back in. We're going to give it to you right back. 3 plays, 0 yards. Go make it happen, offense. And this next drive, Rob, this is where they lose the game. This is where Brock Purdy essentially loses the game for them.
We'll get to that in a second, but Matthew answered our question because we asked about kicking that extra point there. He says, the thinking on the PAT is that if you make the PAT and the Chiefs score a touchdown, it's still a one-possession game. I disagree, but that's the idea. That is such a stupid thinking. And I think that was exactly Kyle's method of thinking in the Super Bowl when he took the ball first.
And I understood it, right? I'm being facetious almost when I say it. I understand, like, in the sense that I know what he's thinking. I don't understand why he's doing it because I don't think it's the smartest thing you can do in that situation. You're going to be one possession down whether you get the 2-point conversion or you don't. So why not know if you need to convert 2 now rather than having to do it later?
I hate this whole, well, if you do this and then this happens and then that happens, well, then we'll be in this situation. That's too many unknowables. That's too many variables. Do you want to be losing?
And it doesn't account for the fact that Anders Carlson missed the kick,
right,
which makes everything else with the 2-point conversion moot.
Do you want to try and be tied or not? Or would you rather be losing? That's the only thing that you should be thinking about. This whole, like, let's play 3D chess here. Like, you're outthinking the room. You're outthinking the room.
So I don't think he knows what he's doing in those situations. I think he thinks he's some momentum football, like, wizard in these situations, that he can feel the pulse of the game. And I think what he doesn't realize yet, and he hasn't learned it in 7 years, is he has one of the worst pulses for the game of anybody.
It's terrible.
It's horrible.
It's really
That's
bad.
why 2nd and 2, 3rd and 2, 2nd and 2, 3rd and 1, 2nd and 2, 3rd and 1, 4th and 1. How can you not get a yard with your offense?
It's brutal. So the Niners get the stop.
And look, they are missing weapons galore, Rob. And I
Yes.
understand if you're in 3rd and 7 and you need a guy to separate on a 3rd and 7 and the quarterback needs to make a throw and stuff like that. These are run-pass neutral situations. 3rd and 1 is a run/pass down. You have everything available to get 1 yard. That's creativity. That's not players and personnel. That's scheme.
I don't understand it. I really don't. It's beyond frustrating, and we've seen it for a long time. So the Niners get the ball back. It's 14-12. They get the ball at the 20-yard line. Why? Because Matt Ariza had a 67-yard punt.
Boomed this one, yeah.
So 1st and 10 at the 20-yard line. They start out with a nice little Brock scramble on a bootleg play. Loved it. Didn't do anything crazy. Didn't force it. Just took the 3 yards. Jordan Mason finally busts a run up the middle where there's no holding. 26 yards, and the Niners are in business at midfield. Brock scrambles again, 5 yards. Great. Jordan Mason up the middle, 8 yards. Great. We are churning it out. Here we go. Here's the rhythm.
Jordan Mason's going. The Chiefs defense a little worn out. The sun finally got to them.
1st and 10, Mason runs for 4. That's a win on 1st down. 2nd and 6, Brock throws a 50-50 ball to Chris Conley when he's guarded one-on-one by Trent McDuffie. Didn't love it, but he took a shot. Okay.
Nice throw too.
It was a good throw. It was on the money. McDuffie made an incredible play to knock it away, but that's the play a top corner makes. So
yeah, Chris Conley also at the catch point, like, literally put it was a little unprofessional. He had his hands out. McDuffie could see it the whole way. He just waited for the ball to be in Conley's hands and bat it.
So
no offense, Rob. Sorry, Rob. I got to criticize Chris Conley. I know that's not important.
Okay. Hey, I'm just saying this is the back-breaking play of the game.
Yeah.
3rd and 6. You're at the 34-yard line. So if you throw an incomplete pass, it's a 52-yard field goal attempt, which would give you the lead. Brock Purdy drops back. Ronnie Bell is open. He separates. He is past the sticks. He is open. Clear as day, he is open. And Brock uncorks a ball that is so bad in the middle of the play. Tom Brady goes, oh, and it's intercepted by the Chiefs. And the scoring drive is over. Everything is over. Chiefs get the momentum. Chiefs get the ball back. I initially thought maybe Ronnie Bell did the wrong thing. Kyle said Brock biffed the throw. Brock said Brock biffed the throw. That is hideously, hideously bad, Vish. On a money down, you do the worst possible thing when you had a guy wide ass open.
Yeah, that was just a horrible throw. That was a horrible throw. He missed it bad. And I know people are saying, oh, I still think it's on Bell, all of that. It was 3rd and 6. Why would they throw a 17-yard corner route on 3rd and 6? Because that's where Brock Purdy threw the ball. He ran an out route on the sticks. It was a first down. And
why did he think Ronnie Bell was going to do that? The play, Brock.
I just think he threw a terrible ball, Rob. I think he was errant in a lot of this game. We skipped a couple of the 3rd downs to Brandon Aiyuk that he was too hopping and grounding and stuff like that as we were going through the game drive by drive. He was errant throughout this game. We talked about the Kittle completion. He was errant on completions. This is a horrible throw.
It's so bad. It's 5 yards over the head of Ronnie Bell.
The only thing I think with this on why he throws it a little bit deeper is can you go back to the tight view, not the all 22 or the end zone? So the all 22. Yeah. Bell, when he gets leverage on his route, he's going to get into the defender a little bit. So maybe Brock didn't think he was going to bring his route back as flat to the sideline. Maybe he thought like right there, he stems a little bit into the guy. Maybe that's the one bit of excuse, but even that, I don't understand where he's throwing the football. It still wouldn't have been an accurate ball. I don't know. It's the play that lost them the game, Rob. Right here, this was their opportunity to win the game, and this lost them the game.
Bell is at the 25-yard line, and Brock's throw lands at the 20, like almost to the sideline. It was so far off. It was comically bad. And again, it's not just doing the bad thing. It's doing the worst thing. Because like I said, if that's incomplete, you got a 52-yard field goal try. Now, who knows if it's good? But you at least have a chance to take the lead. And instead, because your quarterback just makes this throw, this like, what the hell is it throw?
You're playing with momentum too. The Chiefs are reeling. They've been sitting in the sun all day. Your crowd's up and going. You're at home. Your defense has gotten 2 back-to-back stops. They just got an interception. Now they just held them to a 3-and-out with 0 yards. Your run game is finally working. Jordan Mason is finally going. Everything was working at that point for the 49ers for the first time in the game, and he gave it away.
And, people have been saying, oh, Kyle Shanahan's play calling. That was a perfect play. Ronnie Bell was open. Kyle Shanahan got Ronnie Bell open on a gotta-have-it 3rd down play. That's not Kyle's fault. Brock whiffs at Andre has a comment here. Brock has overachieved, but he has these 7th-round throws from time to time. That's exactly what that was, Vish. That was a last pick in the draft throw.
Yeah, and look, Brock Purdy has been good this season. Very good, in my opinion, actually. But this was a horrible game, probably the worst of his career. And I think the difference between him and Shanahan for me is we've gone through this game criticizing Shanahan. I didn't think Shanahan's mistakes were ultimately ones that cost the 49ers the game. I thought Brock Purdy cost them this game, straight up. I thought he was the reason they lost, from missing 2 walk-in touchdowns to being errant and erratic for most of the day to having 3 of the worst turnovers he's ever had in his life. It looked like Iowa State Brock Purdy. I think that's the difference for me between the two. Was Shanahan his best in this game? Absolutely not. Did he make a ton of mistakes? Yes. But ultimately, they could have won this game with competent quarterback play, and they didn't get it from Brock Purdy in this game. He was horrible.
Horrible in the game. So the Chiefs get the ball back, and I think the Chiefs recognized one touchdown.
They were like, oh, this team really doesn't want to win, guys. They don't want to put on a show for prime time, so let's ice them out.
They were like, one touchdown drive puts this game away. And so they start pounding the ball right down the field, and they are moving. Kareem Hunt, 4 yards. Kareem Hunt, 13 yards. They hit Watson for 8 yards. 2nd and 2. Kareem Hunt again, 3 yards. Brady pointed it out on the broadcast. It's like the Chiefs didn't have a ton of negative plays. They're always going forward. It might not be the biggest gain, but they're always making progress.
Yeah, 100%. And they're always able to keep themselves within manageable distance because they know their defense is so good that their offense is always having opportunities to take advantage and score. They don't have a good offense, but they constantly maximize their chances of scoring. And so along those lines, Rob, I think this is the perfect segue because this was the 49ers' opportunity to stop them. They were getting positive gains on first down up till now, and then Jordan Elliott makes a hell of a play on this first down to stop Kareem Hunt for no gain. And then
which first down was that?
The one right after the 2nd and 2.
2nd and 10, Chad Steele gets 4.
Oh, that was Chad Steele. Sorry.
3rd and 6. Who does Mahomes go to? Travis Kelce.
And so this is Jair Brown missing a tackle in space. He's got Travis Kelce one-on-one to bring him down. It's kind of a slick move.
Yeah, it was nice.
The only reason I bring it up, though, is Brown is just not having a good go of it.
Yeah, you were, when you called me earlier today, you were down on Jair Brown.
But I've been down on Brown this whole year. I like this idea of Amos and Mustafa playing at safety for the 49ers moving forward. So we'll see.
We'll see. 2nd and 7. This is the back-breaking play, and I said it all week long. The back-breaking Mahomes plays are not throws. They are runs. They always have been. And when you watch it here, it's 2nd down. And first thing I put it on, Vish, is Nick Bosa, because he did this consistently all day. He runs past Mahomes, trying to go for the sack. Boom, boom. Look, he's behind Patrick Mahomes on the ground. So where does Patrick Mahomes go? Right to where Nick Bosa was, where there's all that space, and he scrambles out. And there's 2 guys that can make a play. One is Fred Warner, who dives and misses the tackle. And then the other, I can't see who that is. I think it's D. Winters.
D. Winters, horrible play on the sideline, overrunning it. What are you realistically going to do? He's 1 inch from the sideline. You're not going to hit him that hard.
He kind of got pushed in the back, too, which sort of helped him lose his momentum. But Mahomes throws on the brakes on the sideline. Winters overruns the play. Mahomes scampers down the field for 33 yards. Longest run of Patrick Mahomes' career. Almost goes into the end zone. Sets up the Chiefs for another touchdown, which they eventually get on 4th down. And another thing on this drive, Vish, that I thought was just absolutely
this is a horrible play by Fred Warner.
Yeah, Fred. That's a bad play by Fred, too. The other bleep you play on this drive by the Chiefs is before the Mahomes touchdown, which he runs in on 4th down. They run corn dog. They run the play that beat the 49ers in the Super Bowl.
Mecole Hardman falls down. He falls down. But there's 2 things. You brought up the rush integrity. The 49ers defensive line's rush integrity has been horrible all year. It's been horrible. And the rush integrity was actually worse on the play after that. The 4th and goal. Why are you running past Patrick Mahomes on 4th and goal from the 1-yard line? It is the dumbest play. Watch the defensive line. Realistically, where is he going to go, Rob, if you run past him? Look at them. They all run right past him. It's 4th and goal at the 1. This is stupid.
There's nobody in the middle of the field. There's no one there. If you're watching on the stream, I paused it. You could see that it's empty.
Just
there are no
in front of you. Is this coaching? I don't know what this is. This is garbage. And he runs over Malik Mustafa, but Malik Mustafa shouldn't have a 50-50 shot where it's him and Mahomes challenging each other a foot into the goal line.
Just a sad, sad play. Here's the overhead view if you're watching on the stream. What happens to the defensive tackles? They just part like the Red Sea.
What is Nick Bosa doing?
Again, runs behind Patrick Mahomes on the ground. Mahomes runs it into the end zone, and that was a bleep you moment by the Chiefs. Like, you're our son. Get out of here. You're not beating us. We don't care if we play this game in your house, our house, the moon, wherever. So now it's 21-12. And believe it or not, Vish, I actually thought the Niners they could potentially still get into it because the 4th quarter had just started. And my thinking was, if you can score quickly, then you've got the whole rest of the 4th quarter to try and make something of it. And what happens? The 49ers start to go down the field. Why? Because they were able to run the ball. Jordan Mason, 7 yards. Garendo, 5 yards. Got lucky his fumble went out of bounds. He stinks, by the way. but 5-yard play still counted. Moving down the field, incomplete deep to Juszczyk on a great throw by Brock Purdy. Really a nice play by Shenault to break it up. It was right on the money to Kyle Juszczyk, but he couldn't haul it in. Brock
Yeah,
goes,
that was the other like just great throw he had in this game.
yeah,
Just a
was a
great
good
throw.
throw.
Yeah.
Incomplete to Pearsall on
By the way, you got to come down with that. This is why you're in. This is why you're playing in 21 personnel. That's the guy you're supposed to be able to beat every single time. That's the advantage for 21 personnel. That's why you tweet about it. It's because you can have the third linebacker on the field and you can beat Leo Chenal one-on-one. Well, they gave you an opportunity. They needed the captain to make a big play, and he didn't make it.
It would have been a heck of a catch, to be fair, but you're right.
But he's on the field to do that. He's supposed to be the unique superstar offensive weapon. Other fullbacks can't make that catch. He's supposed to be the guy that makes it.
You're the highest paid fullback in the league, right? Like, you were all mad that you had to take a pay cut. Well, guess what? You got open. You got your opportunity. Good. I like the throw by Brock, too, because the linebacker's not looking. So there's no risk. Like, he can't defend the ball.
He puts it right on him.
He did defend the ball and broke up the play.
It's a great play by Chenal. It's a great play by Chenal. And Chenal is a really good player. So I don't want to diminish that. But these are the little things that you need somebody like if you're going to tweet about, hey, 21 personnel, when you get the freaking matchup in 21 personnel and it's you versus a linebacker, you show why you're about 21 personnel. You don't tweet about it. And then when the first time you get your opportunity to make a great play, you let the defender make a better one.
Broken up. Luckily, on third down, Brock threw to Kittle for 9, which would have meant the 49ers had to convert on fourth down, but there was a penalty. So the Niners get the first down. Brock Purdy hits Jacob Cowing on this drive. 2nd and 8 for 41 yards.
Right. They pick on Justin Watson's replacement a couple of times on this drive.
Which I love.
I think he had the holding penalty, and then they go right at him with the double move.
And this is, again, like, what did I say? If you score quickly, right, you could get back into the game. Well, for all the Kyle Shanahan doesn't have creative play calling people, this is the perfect call. The Chiefs were going with man coverage, right? They were going to force the 49ers to beat them. Kyle dials up a double move to Jacob Cowing, one of their fastest players, and Cowing executes it perfectly. And he is open, and Brock sees him, and he throws it. And what happens? It is underthrown again. You could see it if you're watching on the stream. Look, Cowing has to put the brakes on at the 15-yard line and make the play. Heck of a catch, but it should have been a touchdown.
Yeah, great route. As good as it gets. He should get more opportunities. He's looked nothing but electric in the little opportunities he's been getting. He looks like a guy that maybe can be something. So that's cool. But this is a great route. And Tom was really nice on this one. Maybe the nicest he was in the entire game. I think he was just happy to see Brock complete a pass. At this point, I'm kind of joking, but that's kind of the reactions Tom was giving for the majority of the game. But this is why you pay a quarterback $60 million, right? The offense is struggling in the red zone. They can't do anything in the red zone. It's just not working for whatever reason. Well, what's the easiest way to score in the red zone if you aren't able to score in the red zone? Don't get into it. Score outside of the red zone. And this is a great opportunity to take that pressure off of yourselves. The offense probably feels it on a drive-by-drive basis every time they get in the red zone. Oh, we're not good in the red zone. We never score in the red zone. Oh, here we are kicking another field goal in the red zone. It would have done them so much confidence to be able to generate these big plays. Obviously, it's that much more difficult at this point without Brandon Aiyuk, without Deebo Samuel, the types of guys that usually generate these type of big plays for the 49ers. And here you have it. Golden opportunity. Jacob Cowing runs as good a route as you can. He does exactly what you ask. It's right there. And you underthrow it. Well,
and I liked that play. Yeah. They had Pearsall there in the slot that took the safety. So Cowing was one-on-one. And Andre Garibay says, CJ Stroud and Jordan Love both hit that wide receiver in stride. And he's right. And that's a touchdown. And if you score a touchdown there, there's 11:51 left in the game and you'd be down 1 score at that point. Like, who knows what happens? But they don't score a touchdown. And Vish, and not only do they not score a touchdown, but guess what? Kyle goes back to the run. Jordan Mason, 7 yards. Great. 2nd and goal, 3-yard line. Another short yardage situation. Kyle runs the ball just right up the middle. Jordan Mason loses 2 yards. And on 3rd and goal.
Great play by Chris Jones. Great play by Chris Jones. This was the play of the game by Chris Jones. If you go watch on this 2nd and goal. I don't know if you're going to pull it up. I see you trying to pull this up, but he kind of resets and just blows this play up by cutting and splitting, I think, Trent Williams and Aaron Banks.
But like, can't we get a little more creative than that? And a gotta have it play.
They do though. They do though. Watch. If you watch, they line up quickly. It's just an unbelievable play by Chris Jones.
Oh, hold on. Let me see if I can pull it up. It was early in the 4th quarter, right?
Yeah.
It was, let's see. All right. I'm having trouble pulling it up right now.
Because they have the positive run. And look, this is the little things, right? They're not doing well in the red zone. So they have a positive run and they try to follow it up by having a little tempo, getting back on the line of scrimmage, going a little quickly. And Chris Jones makes a freaking play.
But like, again, where were the end around plays, right? Why couldn't you hit Jacob Cowing on an end around play? We just got to give it to Jordan Mason up the middle and hope. And Jordan Mason loses 2 yards on the play. And then on 3rd and goal, Brock Purdy throws another.
Yeah, this one's bad. This one's horrible.
Back-breaking interception. Chris Conley, he only looks at Conley, who, first of all, when the play starts, is guarded one-on-one by Trent McDuffie, which is like, is that really the guy you want to pick on in this situation? And then after the ball is snapped, he's double covered. And Brock never looks off of him. He doesn't have a lot of time to look off of him because Colton McKivitz gets absolutely mollywopped, as he always does.
By George Karlaftis, yeah.
Brock gets hit as he throws. Ball is intercepted in the end zone. Kyle said it on the conference call tonight. He said, Brock had nothing there, but he's got to take that sack so we can kick the field goal and you make it a 21-15 game, and it's a 1-score game. And then who knows? Brock, again, made a bad play worse.
100%. And that's 3 different scoring opportunities that he individually gave away with interceptions.
Crushing. You can't have that. Your quarterback can't do that kind of stupid stuff. And Brock is not a rookie anymore. He should have learned by now. And so the ball is intercepted. Chiefs get the ball back and just decide we're going to run it right down their throat, which is exactly what they do. They go all the way down the field, 12 plays, 80 yards. They chew up 6 minutes and 20 seconds in the game. And Mecole Hardman around the edge, 18 yards, touchdown. And all of a sudden, the Chiefs are turning it into a laugher, 28-12. I don't care.
And they're starting to fight with the 49ers, starting to taunt them. They're starting to rub it in.
Mm-hmm.
It got chippy at this point. This drive to me was indicative of like, hey, when they need to, they're able to get anything they want on the 49ers defense.
That, though. When the 49ers get blown out, they always get chippy. They lose their composure. They act like a bunch of friggin' children. And Trent Williams got tossed from this game like he always does when the Niners lose big games.
He got sucker punched, Rob.
So what? So what? Be a grown man. Be a captain.
He is a grown man. He's a grown man that the league knows you don't mess with them. You don't mess with that guy.
Child. That's what he is. You don't throw a punch there. You don't throw a punch.
You got to keep a reputation, Rob.
Now you're just trying to tweak me, Vish. Stop it. Okay.
Nobody can walk up to big number 71 and think they can punk him.
Everybody did. Except
Who's punked him? Who's punked him?
Whoever the hell punched him first.
Yeah, and he let him know what's up. He knocked him back.
Ooh.
Have you ever seen a guy punch a helmet that hard?
Ooh, big man. Trent Williams, you showed how tough you are. You're supposed to be a captain and a veteran. Act like it. You could legally smash the guy on the next play. You're allowed to. It's football rules.
Brian Cook didn't do that. He sucker punched him. He slapped him.
He was wrong too. But just because you get slapped doesn't mean you have to do the one thing that gets you ejected. Why couldn't Trent just shove him back down? Why couldn't he do that if he wanted to retaliate?
That's who he is. He doesn't take shit from the Commanders. He doesn't take shit from the NFL. He doesn't take shit from the 49ers. That's the baddest dude in the league.
You can shove somebody back and make that exact same statement. You don't have to do the thing that gets you thrown out. And people are just excusing it because he got punched. He's got to show what a man he is.
That part, I agree with you. See, I don't mind the retaliation. I think the punch specific, closing the fist was, let me get the fuck out of this game and just hit the showers early.
Yep. And that is exactly the 49ers mentality. That's what's wrong with this team. It's pathetic. That's supposed to be your captain. That's the example. That's pathetic by Trent Williams. And it's not the first time he's done it. And I know it was far from the biggest, it was at the end of the game. I get all that, but it's pathetic. You got to expect more from that. And it's indicative of the attitude on this team. What a bunch of babies, man. What a bunch of babies. You're worried about your rep? How about you're worried about not getting your ass handed to you by the Chiefs when your season is swirling the drain? How about that? I saw Trent Williams get blown up a couple of times in this game. Trent Williams has not been good this year. He has not been good. They're better running to the right side this year than they are to the left.
Is that statistical?
Yes.
Damn.
Yeah.
Give us the numbers, Rob. That's a good one.
I don't have it right now, but I did notice it. At least they were coming into the game. Like it's Trent Williams, so no one can ever say anything bad about him ever. He never does anything wrong ever because it's Trent Williams. Whenever
hey, sometimes they need to seal the backside on those runs to the right, and it's still.
How many holding penalties does Trent have this year? It's a few. It's like 1 a game. So I didn't.
He's got as many as Deebo.
I didn't like. Yeah, I know. Deebo hasn't been good either. Didn't like how it ended. 49ers get punked again by the Chiefs again. And when they lose, Vish, they lose the same way every time. They can't run the ball. Colton McKivitz gets whooped, and Brock Purdy makes stupid turnovers. It's happened again and again and again.
Yeah, I will say the running thing to me has been completely overblown. David Lombardi has been spinning that narrative that, the 49ers can't run the ball. He wasn't even using the right statistics to do that. He was talking about the 49ers rush defense EPA, which they're 25th in the league because they don't have a good run defense. Their rushing offense is middle of the pack. They're not bad at running the football. Obviously, they miss Christian McCaffrey, but their biggest issue is not being able to run the ball with Jordan Mason. In fact, that might honestly be the best thing they do, especially with what they have at receiver right now, which is a lot of questions given the young players that need to step up. But I think when your defense gives you the kind of performance that the 49ers defense did, you can't lose this game on the margins. And we talked about all the different coaching decisions and the coaching opportunities from the 3rd and 1s, the 4th and 1s. Those were different opportunities for them to win the game that were on Kyle Shanahan. So to me, he deserves, of course, as he always does, a large portion of the blame. And then, it comes down to Brock Purdy. This was just his worst game of his career. We've never seen him play that poorly. And as bad as this game was, I think the reason it feels worse is because the 49ers were really competent quarterback play away from winning this game, which we've never said about Brock Purdy. That was our Jimmy Garoppolo take.
Mm-hmm.
We did this with Garoppolo all the time. Hey, there were all these other things, but if the quarterback just does these two things, which isn't too much to ask, the Niners just win this game. And we're not that mad about these other things. That was this game. He put it up on a silver platter for the Chiefs, and it sucks because he's played well the entire year, but you got to call it as you see it each week. And
not the entire year. He didn't play well against Minnesota. He didn't play well against Arizona. He didn't.
I would say top to bottom, if we looked at his season, I would say he was playing very well coming into the Chiefs game. And I would still say he's had a good season so far, but the Chiefs game was horrible. He was horrible.
So we'll see how he responds. He put it on himself after the game, which he always does. But like at some point, you gotta stop saying, "Well, it's I got to be better." Just be better. Like I don't want to hear you talk about it in the podium.
Saying the. Well, it's funny you say that because, some people really want to hear Kyle Shanahan just say it's my fault. That would somehow make them feel better. So it's funny you say that you don't really care. I'm the same way. I don't really care what they say after the game, to be honest.
Oh, I do. It all matters.
But yeah, he always handles himself with the utmost class and humility.
Yeah, Brock does.
Yeah, Brock. Not Kyle. I mean, I will say even the Bell thing, I thought it was bizarre how easy, and he never minces words with his quarterbacks. Maybe it's something his players respect about him, so he's very honest and open about criticizing the quarterback too. But I was a little astonished that he went straight to no, it was just a terrible throw because that's a really bad throw.
Oh, good.
Really bad.
Let's be honest. Let's call it what it again. We could see it's a bad throw.
Yeah. But I have an issue with his honesty with stuff like this, where he has to be transparent and not protect his guy, even though it's a terrible throw. But he doesn't have transparency when it comes to his bullshit and what he's doing when he's arguing with Brandon Aiyuk. Oh, he's not in the doghouse. Blah 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 blah. That's where I have a problem with it. Okay, Mr. Honest, be Mr. Honest for yourself too. Hold yourself to the same standard. When you do bullshit like you challenge nothing versus the Indianapolis Colts on Sunday Night Football, which is still the worst challenge in the history of the NFL, come out and call yourself an idiot the way you call that a terrible throw.
I agree with everything you just said there. keep it real with your players. That's fine, but keep it real with yourself too. And Kyle doesn't. He absolutely doesn't, and he should. I think he needs to.
If he does it behind closed doors, I say that then do it to only your players behind closed doors. Don't be like Jim Harbaugh. Defend them in public. Make it seem like anybody who says anything wrong with them is like insulting them in public. Be that guy. But if you're going to be open and honest with the media about your players and be like, yeah, he didn't make that throw. It was a terrible throw, especially for a throw that bad, then be willing to embarrass yourself too when you do stupid things, because you do a lot of them. You don't know what you're doing sometimes with game management.
Yep. And he never gets asked about it. He was never asked, why didn't you go for 2 there? Never even asked about it.
Well,
Why not?
that's because they need to figure out the important things, Rob, like how the 49ers rushing offense is affecting them right now and how Brock Purdy has no weakness. I thought the entire Chiefs quotes this week, it was so funny to me how all of you guys, and I'm talking about Niners reporters, were hyping their quotes about the 49ers up. And they walked in there, and do you think they walked in there looking at the 49ers like they believed any of the things they said about them all week?
Right. Like
They
you
punked
really,
the 49ers. Them punching them at the end and all of that was like, yeah, we knew you guys sucked. We were just talking you guys up to come in here and punk you.
if Steve Spagnuolo really thought Brock Purdy had no weaknesses, he sure knew exactly how to game plan for him. Like for a guy that has no weaknesses, he certainly seemed to find him in the middle of the game. I talked to Steven Serta, who covers the Chiefs for us here at the Fans First Sports Network with Foolish Club Media, and I asked him specifically about that, and he was like, Spagnuolo always talks up the other team. I mean, hell, Andy Reid said in his press conference that the Niners special teams have done a good job this year. So clearly you knew they were just gaslighting us. Like that wasn't even a real thing. A lot of people, and by a lot of people, I mean Grant Cohn, David Lombardi, and Tim Kawakami, were talking about a meeting that Kyle Shanahan had at Brock's locker after the game. Grant, of course, this is like just a perfect crystallization of the 49ers beat. Grant said that Shanahan was lecturing Brock Purdy at his locker, and he's never seen anything like it. David Lombardi said they were having a nice discussion that ended with a big handshake, and Tim Kawakami said, hey, he discussed it at his locker, as he does a lot of times after the game, but it did seem like a little bit of a reset with Brock Purdy going over the game. So choose whoever you want to believe on the 49ers beat.
The way it sounds, because I'm using Tim here, given that, Grant tends to be an extreme to some people of one side and David tends to be the extreme of the other side. It sounds like it was closer to what Grant said, but maybe it wasn't as dramatic as he described it. But it sounds, based on Tim's verbiage too, that it was an animated conversation between the two rather than a hug it out, sing kumbaya, as Charles Barkley would say, locker room conversation.
Kawakami wrote, Shanahan always has a quick word or two with players after games when the media is in the locker room. Deebo's a frequent option, but I can't remember a Shanahan talk that went on this long, certainly never with Garoppolo. This felt like a mini reset of sorts with Purdy. Brock was asked about it by Grant after the game, which I respect Grant for. Like, hey, if you're
that's a good question. Great question.
Yeah, and if you're going to make a big deal of it yourself, like ask the player about it to get some context. Brock said, hey, we were just talking about the game. Kyle Shanahan was asked about it on the conference call. He said basically the exact same thing. Like, I always talk to players. Kyle said, I didn't realize you guys were right there paying attention when I did it. I don't think it's a thing. And my whole response was...
So I don't agree with that second part.
You don't think it's a thing?
No, of course he freaking realized that they were there. What is he going on about? This is the NFL. They have control of everything the media has access to, and they don't. They can cover anything they want. If he wanted to have that conversation without them being seen, he could have had it without them being seen. He knew what he was doing. He knew what he was doing. That's my only problem with it. I don't care that they had the conversation. I don't care that it was animated. I don't care about anything like that. It didn't have to be done in public, and he is totally bullshitting you when he says, oh, I didn't know. Who else was going to be there? You just finished your presser. What are you talking about? What are you talking about?
The exact quote, I'll just read it for you. He said, we were just talking like we always do. I just didn't realize all you guys were standing behind me spying on us, but it was just love talking to guys after the game. I just happened to be walking back and he was standing right there. So we stopped and started talking. It really caught me off I forgot everyone was still in there. We were just hanging out, talking about the game and things like that. And then when I looked behind, you guys kind of scared me. I didn't realize everyone was creeping so bad. But that's just what we do. We all talk. Take it for what you will.
That could be what they do, but I think that the timing of the conversation, I don't buy that. Oh, like because they can protect everything.
Right. If
They
they want,
literally,
yeah.
yeah.
But here's the thing, Vish. Why shouldn't Brock get a talking down after his horrible performance? He played bad. The head coach should
Oh,
lecture.
that's what I said. I don't mind that they had a conversation. I don't mind that it was animated. These are two people trying to do a job. At the end of the day, Shanahan's also Brock's boss. He's tearing into him. This is what happens in corporate America, especially high pressure positions. This is part of it. I just think there's a level of respect to do it or have these sort of conversations in private or in front of your team or within your team and all of those kinds of things. And that's the only thing I have an issue with. And I don't buy this bullshit that he didn't know who was there or who wasn't there because it's the freaking NFL, man. They know. And they're able to do these things. That's why they're able to cover up Brandon Aiyuk being in the doghouse for 7 weeks to the media. They can do whatever the fuck they want. And there's 8 different reporters ready to write the exact story they text them to write right now if they wanted to. There's a reason. There's a reason he did that. I don't know what it is. I'm not going to be Mr. Conspiracy Theorist, but I'm also not going to be stupid and pretend like, oh, he had no idea what was going on, and all of a sudden they just started talking in front of the media, just to chat it up when they both have media obligations after the game. I'm not believing that. That doesn't make sense.
Sean Turner says Vish spicy. I agree. Andre says stats don't censor Vish. Well, on the audio podcast, I got my work cut out for me with all these bleeps. AB says everyone's too sensitive. Who gives a bleep if Kyle had this conversation with Brock? Brock played bad and he talked to his coach. No story here.
No, it is. So that part is absolutely right. None of that's a story. But why does that need to be public? Why does Grant need to ask that question about it? These are little human things. Think about it, AB, if this was your boss in your job and he took you in front of your team and the company that you're working with. Let's say you're working with a contractor, you're working with someone else, and he chews you the fuck out in front of everybody. It's your fault. Everybody knows it's your fault. You know it's your fault, but he chews you out in front of everybody. How are you going to feel? Is that respectful? What would you think of him as a man? That's what I'm questioning. I am not talking about the concept of a job that Brock didn't play well or that Kyle's upset and talking to him about it. For me, the only issue is that this went down in front of the media.
Well, that's the thing. It's one thing to criticize Brock in front of the team. Sometimes that's good and called for. Like you should call out. Everybody should get called out the same. Stars, scrubs, call them out in front of the team. Doing it when the media is there. Now, if he was actually calling him out, I don't even know that. I don't know if he was saying, you suck, blah, blah, blah. Like, they could have just been going over the game. Lombardi said, for what it's worth, the conversation ended with handshake. Right. If I tell you off, Vish, are you going to shake my hand after I'm done? I don't think so. So
even then, though, it's the timing, right? Like, I understand they lost. I understand the difficulty of it, but the both of them have had media obligations after the game for 2 years now. They both know what their routines are after the game and what they need to handle. They could have waited 20 minutes to get on the team bus or whatever before they get out of the stadium, drop into Kyle's office, have this conversation. It ends with a hug, all of that. There was something specific that needed to be seen. Now, maybe it's a positive. Maybe Kyle feels like he doesn't get seen coaching the quarterback enough. So he wanted the media to see him hyping up Brock after a bad game, being in his corner, giving him a handshake. Maybe it's a positive. I'm not drawing a conclusion from it. I'm just not going to let it go that this went down in front of the media and it's just, oh, like, hey, pretend. Nobody knew who was in the room. It's like, hey, Rob, I invite you in, I talk to you, and then I totally forget that you're in my house and start cooking a meal in front of you. Like, bullshit.
God. Wow, you are spicy today. I got, what is this, like 7 or 8? No, more, 10 or 11 bleeps out of you today.
Keep bleeping them, man. Keep bleeping them. This is crazy.
Yeah, the Kyle's explanation that I didn't realize you were there. You're right. I didn't catch that, but you're right. That doesn't hold water. You knew they were there. And I don't necessarily have a problem with it, but to say you didn't know they were there, that seems a little weird. And again, we don't know the substance of the conversation.
Mm-hmm. It could have been positive.
Yeah, like we don't know. But that part doesn't hold up, doesn't hold water. So now the Niners sit here 3-4 on
Do
the
you have
year.
a theory on why he did it?
No, he might have just been mad. He might have just flat out been angry and he wanted to talk to Brock. He was mad at him or wanted to say something to him, whatever. And if it's not like, if I'm Kyle, right, and I'm like, oh, I really want to tell Brock XYZ, especially if it's not critical, if it's just, hey, on that last third down, just take that sack there. I know it sucks. You had nothing. It wasn't your fault, but we get the field goal. It's a 1-score game, right? If that's your message, you're like, what difference does it make if the media is there?
Yeah.
Maybe that's what he was thinking. I don't know. But you're right. The idea that he didn't realize the media was there. You grew up around the NFL your entire life, Kyle Shanahan. You've been a head coach now going on 8 years. You knew they were there. Period.
100%. And how many of these style conversations do you think he's had after the game? That's what I'm saying.
Right.
And how many have we heard about?
Well, and to be fair, like Tim even said, like Kyle does have those in front of the media frequently.
So like there was a reason the three of them chose to write about this story versus other conversations he's had. There was something about this conversation that was different. And Tim touched on that too, saying it was longer and more animated. Seemed like a mini reset with Purdy.
I don't know if he said more animated. He said he's never seen one go on that long.
Sorry. Yeah.
But again, who knows? We'll see.
And he called it a mini reset. To me, that's where
I'd like some clarification there. Like, what do you mean by reset? What's resetting? Like, I would like to. Maybe he went into it. I should listen to the podcast and maybe he dove into it. But anyway,
isn't it great how 3 different people have reported a story and 0 of them have actually reported the story?
Well, at least Grant asked a follow up about it,
and
they asked Kyle about it too in the conference call today, and they didn't follow up.
It's such a non-story though when you get him on the conference call.
What do you mean?
The conference call is like the most curated press conference because if you prepare a question and come in about the game, he throws you off kilter originally because he gives you 10 injuries before that. Now the first 5 questions are about those injuries, so it throws the rhythm about asking anything about the game. And then usually he's just talking into the phone. He sounds like he's
just woken up.
Yeah. Yeah. He sounds like he's just woken up and he's like, yeah, ha ha ha. The thing about that is, you guys were there, like the media, like you guys never come into our locker room or talk to me, so I just forgot that you existed.
Oh, it's never boring with these 49ers. So 3-4, Dallas Cowboys coming up. Who knows if Kittle's going to play? Who knows if Deebo's going to play?
He needs to cut his hair too. Clean cut Kyle.
John Brown says, crazy thought, did Sorensen coach his best game? Probably.
No.
You don't think?
Because when the Chiefs needed to go down the field, they did it every single time. Outside of the 1-2 possession kind of grouping at the start of the second half, which the 49ers offense gave away.
Yeah, but like I don't like when people say that because it makes it seem like, well, they could have easily scored more than 28
No,
points.
I think the Chiefs offense sucks. That's what I'm saying. Like I think their offense sucks. They have a good interior offensive line. They have no running backs. Their tackles aren't that good. Their receivers aren't very good. And frankly, dude, Mahomes is putting on his best, like, 2019 Jimmy Garoppolo impression. Like, seriously.
Yeah, he's made some wonky plays, but it doesn't matter. They still find a way. He makes enough plays to win with what he's got. Brock Purdy did not do that on Sunday. That's why
enough plays, whatever that means. Somehow, always, right, for that guy, he plays that terrible, and he's still comfortably winning.
Nobody's
with
better.
A highlight.
Nobody's better at winning the clunkers than Patrick Mahomes.
With the highlight of embarrassing the 49ers defense.
He trucked Mustafa too.
Yeah. Which is, by the way, the single dumbest play of the game, the 49ers defensive line. It's 4th and goal from the 1. How are you going to sack him?
Iceman 0072 says, I asked Larry Krueger earlier, why doesn't the media ask Kyle hard questions and seemed annoyed? LOL. He asked me, what's a hard question? Yeah, that's exactly the problem.
Yeah,
but
doesn't know what a hard questions isn't the way to describe it. The media doesn't ask curious questions.
Or skeptical questions. Why did you do this?
Not even skeptical. They don't ask for explanations of things. They already assume. They ask questions from the guys that the explanation is assumed to be a positive one, and they ask for a confirmation of the explanation. They don't ask for a real explanation.
or they just accept whatever words come out of the person's mouth, regardless of whether or not they
Yeah,
make
well, but that's not on the question and answer. That's on their lack of individuality uncovering the team. They
Well,
don't have actual opinions or cover the team and find and discover stories on why things happen, right? Case in point, Sam Womack is killing it in Indianapolis. Sam Womack started week 1, day 1 as a rookie and then could never buy getting on even the active roster since then. All of these super connected, great reporters, have they written one story on anything that went wrong or what happened or what the story was with him? No, because they don't care. They're not interested and they don't do this job very well. They're just happy to have it and they have 100% job security as long as they pat the Niners on the back when they need to and don't report other things when they need to. That's really the best job they do. They don't sell stories on the 49ers that they could.
they check the box for most of the time, and that's it. Although I do want to give them credit because we're bashing them. I want to give them credit because Ricky Pearsall spoke publicly for the first time after the game. And you want information out of Ricky Pearsall, but it's a very tricky thing because you don't want to re-traumatize him. It's going through and explaining his experience. And that's a very difficult thing to do because you want the information of what happened and the details, but you don't want to re-traumatize anybody that went through that kind of experience. And I thought they all did a very good job. I thought we got a ton of information from Ricky Pearsall. He went into detail about how he didn't really, nothing had hit him really until he saw John Lynch in the hospital room. And then everything kind of came crashing down and he said he burst into tears. Like that's when it hit him when he saw John Lynch. That's a very difficult thing to do. And I thought they did a good job with Ricky Pearsall balancing the desire to get information with the desire to not re-traumatize him.
Yeah, I will say like that's where this isn't personal. I think they're all like nice people, and the way they handled that showed that they're all like very personable and empathetic because they did handle that fantastically. I'm only talking about their job. The same way they talk about football players and they're
Right.
only talking about their job, I'm only talking about their job, and they don't do it well.
Matthew, thank you for the super chat. Says Larry ticked me off today. He went off on some chatter. Guys like Larry and Damon still think they are the cool radio guy and treating the listeners like bleep is cool and acceptable. I can't comment on that because I don't listen to Larry and I certainly didn't hear what he said today. If you disagree with it, that's fine. I've no idea. I don't know what to tell you. I'll never tell you
Yeah,
not to listen to somebody. I'll tell you to listen to whoever you want. In fact, my advice to you would be to listen to as many 49ers beat reporters and content creators as possible because that's the only way to get a real picture of what's happening with this team.
100%, because everybody has their individual biases, including and especially me and Rob. We have our own biases that
I'm totally objective all the time. What are you talking about?
you are the most objective reporter of all time. But I will say, I didn't hear what he had to say and all of that. But something that I do find different, and I think it's cool because the 49ers have more of these than other teams, is I think the fan content creators or people who are fans and fans first and wear their fandom on the sleeves kind of mitigate that gap because they change that perspective. Because I do think the reporters see themselves as above the fans, which is funny because in some cases, some of them are fans, which is also funny. But I think the content creators that are fans kind of feel within because they're almost representing the fans. They like being part of the fans. And I will say, in my full experience being able to do this since 2020, the fans are the best part because you don't find enough like-minded people in life that like football as much as you. It's just like it's hard to find people that want to talk about football 24/7 all the time. And YouTube has those types of listeners and that type of audience. And I think that's really cool.
And we will be here for you regardless of how this 49ers season turns out. If this is your first time watching, thank you. Give us a shot. We're here every weekday. We go live. We do a 49ers in 5 news update every weekday morning with press conference clips, interview
Now you
clips.
go live from soccer practice in your car too.
Today, I was live from soccer practice in my car. When stuff goes down, we're here for you. Give us a chance. I promise you, we will earn your time. You will be a better, smarter fan if you like and subscribe to our YouTube channel here at the Gold Standard. Also,
Or you might learn a few more swear words from me.
You're definitely going to hear Vish drop some bombs, which is always fun. But join us on the ride. I promise you, you won't regret it. Vish, let's hope it gets better from here on out.
It will. I think we'll come back after the Dallas game feeling pretty good at 4-4, and we'll be rethinking it. I think this is a team that's going to be up and down. So we'll be riding the wave of this season. But since the division is so bad and it's so winnable, I think that wave is going to end ultimately in the Niners kind of limping into the playoffs. It's going to be cool to see. Pretty similar, actually, I think, to the Tampa Bay team, Brady's last year in
Jim
Tampa Bay.
Harbaugh needs to do the Niners a favor tonight and beat the Cardinals. Chargers are up 3-0 in the second quarter. By the way, that Jim Harbaugh thing, that arrhythmia that he
Yeah,
had,
that was scary. One of the scariest things I've seen.
I've had that.
Oh, really?
I've had that. I've had the surgery for it. It didn't work. I still have that. It is, let me just tell you, it is horrible. It is the kind
Really?
of thing that can be completely and utterly debilitating. And then if it goes away, 5 minutes later, you're totally fine and you're good to go. But
Okay.
it can happen at any time. Doesn't matter what you're doing. And it is, at least for
Is
mine.
there
So
a way you can mitigate it where you can so you could get it now even?
yes, I take medication every day to help not.
Okay.
An arrhythmia is just an irregular heartbeat. It can be too fast. It can be too slow. I don't know which one Harbaugh has. Mine was too fast, and so it was horrible. You get your ear, like you get when like you jump underwater and like you're hearing kind of like the sound kind of like
Constricts.
fades.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah.
that happens to you. You get flop sweat. You get lightheaded. You got to sit down. You have no strength, no energy. It's completely debilitating. But it can also go away just as fast, and then you're good to go. So I don't know what if Harbaugh's going to have the surgery or any of those details. But I've had that thing that he's talked about, and he said in Kaepernick's first start, I believe he said he had it, and he coached the whole game, which is unbelievable because I don't think I would have been able to do it.
That's an amazing thing, actually. And I'm glad you're doing okay, Rob. And thank you for sharing that.
Thank you. Matthew Rowley says, is it life threatening? I hope you're okay. I don't know if it's life threatening, but I will tell you this. When I went to the emergency room when I was having an episode, they kept telling me, you're going to be fine. It's okay. It's okay. And I noticed the room I was in was crowded. And I actually counted as I was going through this. There were 14 people in the room watching the doctors treat me. And they said, you're going to be fine. And I looked at the doctor and I said, if I'm going to be fine, why are there 14 people in this room right now watching me? And they all laughed, but then he never really answered. So I've had the paddles, the clear where they shock you.
Yeah,
I've had
yeah.
me. They had to do it to me 3
So they
times.
had to use an AED. Is that what it was?
It was, well, it's the
An
paddles. It's
automatic electronic defibrillator?
defibrillator.
Defibrillator. Yeah.
I don't have one. They wanted to put one in. I didn't want to do that. But like just when I was in the emergency room, they did have to do the paddles on me like
Got you.
3
Got
times. I had to I had
you.
burns on my chest from where they zapped me.
Hindman is asking the next relevant question.
Did you have shoes on? Okay, you know what? As a matter of fact, I did, and this is the funny thing. So my wife was there when all this was happening, and she's like, they rip open your shirt and they do the clear and they zap you, and she said, for some reason, she said, I didn't think you were going to die because you had your shoes on. And I was like, he can't die with his shoes on. She always said that. She's like, it didn't make sense. It wasn't logical. But for some reason, the fact that your shoes were on was a comfort to me. And of course they were on. Why would they be off? That would just be ridiculous and terrible.
I can't get over that, but we're at an hour and 42 minutes, and I know that's way too long for you. So I'll just let it slide in this show. I'll let it slide that you're the weirdo that wears your shoes in the house and you don't believe in hygiene. Maybe that's why you're okay with Deebo Samuel spreading germs on the sideline too. You'd probably go shake his hand.
I do believe in hygiene. I just clean my floors. That's the difference. All right, everybody.
Daily with Pine Sol?
Not daily, but weekly. I didn't think we were going to get into my medical issues.
You know what was in soccer practice today, Rob? Little Johnny had a little too much to eat before soccer practice yesterday and vomited all over the parking lot. And his leftover residue was just sitting there, and you could have walked in and put it
My
all over
son
your
takes
house.
his cleats off before he gets in the house.
You walked to the field, didn't you?
No, I stayed in the car the entire. I did a show from the car.
You didn't even go. You didn't even go cheer on your son.
Not tonight. No.
I see. Oh, so there is other times you do step where little Johnny could have had an accident.
Sometimes. Andre says Rob showers with his shoes on. No, I don't. That is not true. All right. That's enough. Maybe we'll get into more of my sordid medical tales on the next episode of Under Review here on the Gold Standard Podcast Network.
Yeah, hopefully you can tell us about the issues you've run into with hygiene regarding to your floors.
You're a germaphobe. That's your problem. You are a germaphobe. That's it. Enjoy
Dude,
the rest of your Monday night.
okay, we'll leave it.
I'll see you. Enjoy the football games, everybody.
Good night.